Welcome to the True Blue Riffcast, the #1 Riff Tracks podcast in the world. I am Superfan Jeremy, and as always, I am joined by...
Hello, yes, I'm Superfan Dave.
And you may notice we have a new theme song. We're going to be using it for a while here. The name of the song is Rock Till You Die. It's by Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band. You can check out the full version of Rock Till You Die, and there are many other songs over on YouTube. Just search Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band, or you can click the link that we're going to have here in the episode description. So thank you again, guys, for letting us use your song. I absolutely love it. Very excited to have an actual song for our theme song instead of Torgo's theme.
Yeah. You know, we all love Manos, but it's weird because I've been thinking maybe we should have a different tune because that tune, while it's fun and everyone loves it, you know, because it's Manos and everything.
Yeah,
it just really didn't fit the tone of our podcast. And when you showed it to me and you're like, hey, look at this, and a week later I looked at it, I was looking at the music video. I was like, what is that? My first reaction was like, I saw these weird skeletons. I was like, no, I hate this. Absolutely not. But then it's just like, it grew on me, and I actually really, really love it. It's definitely creative and weird, and I like it a lot.
Yes.
So it's, I think it's definitely a great fit for our podcast. So thank you guys. I really do like your work.
We don't really have much to get into the way of headlines because we've got so much to talk about today. But we will take a look at the weekend box office real quick. The #1 movie, to no one's surprise, It Chapter 2.
Oh, right, that thing. I heard there's a clown in that.
It's something like that. I'm not really sure.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Jeremy. You know, sure. Like, if you were a kid and you saw a clown with razor-sharp teeth hanging out in the sewer, would you talk to it like
Nope.
It happens all the time?
Absolutely not.
You would run screaming, right? That's my thing. I mean, I love Stephen King and I love Tim Curry, and you know, I know this is not. I know we're not talking about the Tim Curry movie. Obviously, we're talking about the new set of movies, the new duology.
Yeah.
But that's just the one thing, like the setup, the iconic thing about the clown in the sewer and the little kid talking to it. The little kid would not do that.
No, not at all.
It's just like, so it's just like the whole premise of the thing is just faulty from the word go. But it is scary as hell, and I do get why people like it. So.
Yeah. Made $91 million.
Wow.
Opening weekend. The #2 movie made $85 million less.
What?
That's Angel Has Fallen,
Oh,
raking in
wow.
a paltry $6 million. But that's the #2 movie. It just gets worse from here. Good Boys at #3, Lion King at #4, and Overcomer still in at 5. And Dave, I think the death knell is officially tolling for Avengers Endgame.
How?
It has been in theaters for 20 weeks now, and it only made $12,000 this past weekend.
Oh, dang. No, but didn't it make $50,000 last week?
Last week it was almost $100,000 again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The week before it was 50,
but now it made 12,000.
Yeah, I think it's only in 55 theaters now, and
wow. So I think probably with it, I think that's probably why. I think because that's going to be like I think it is probably like the revival of the movie, like because since Spider-Man and Toy Story 4, there hasn't been a lot people really wanted to see. It's been kind of like the slow grind, you know. It's been a weird movie year, honestly, where everything is like all the movies everybody wanted to see came really early, with the exception of Star Wars, which is, you know, still a while, still
to
like
come
4 months away. Yeah,
guaranteed to make an obscene amount of money.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's just everybody saw Endgame, everybody saw Spider-Man, and to a much lesser extent, Toy Story 4. And then just like looked at the rest of the lineup for until this and Star Wars. They're just like they just noped out. You know, I mean, we've said it several times on the podcast, but it's just things. It's like Endgame was just the end all be all for this year until now. So
yep. So that's it. That's all we got news wise. So let's take a look at our short reviews of Riff Track Shorts.
Yes!
For this week's short review of Riff Track Shorts, we're going to be taking a look at You're the Judge, released July 23rd, 2013. Two high school girls, Faith and Sally, are planning a party so that Bill and Frank will come over. The only problem is that the two guys would rather go bowling with each other.
I think I know this one.
They argue a bit, and then they end up making a bet where the two girls and guys end up planning a cook-off. They learn from their mom that they need Crisco shortening because that's what the recipe called for. They just can't substitute oil for it. The guys, of course, use oil and not Crisco. And then they make the biscuit dough and pie crust at the same time. Can you see where this is going? Here's a hint.
It's going to be terrible.
You don't. You also need enough Crisco for the fried chicken. The most important thing that you're going to get out of this whole short is that you need Crisco. Crisco.
Is this like a This Is Hormel thing, and it was produced by Crisco?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Crisco is the main point of this short. Crisco. That's it. Crisco. Just Crisco.
Oh my gosh. Is this the short where at the very beginning there are two girls and there are two guys and they're trying to get the guys to come over, and one of the riffs was like, "No, we want to bang you, you idiot."
Yep.
Okay. That's exactly in this. I do remember this one.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
You're the Judge.
You're the Judge. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that now because I do have fond memories of this, and now I do want to watch again. So thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome. It's a very good short. This one definitely gets 4 out of 5 for me, and you need to spend the 99 cents on it if you haven't already, or if you didn't get it as one of the free shorts from this year's Kickstarter.
Ooh, as a Kickstarter reward?
Yes. So
here's the thing about like the Kickstarter shorts is that if you already own the shorts that they have prizes for, is that they give you give you credit to go ahead and buy like other ones that you don't have.
Yeah, you usually get credit at the cost of the short.
And it just seems like every year, like this year, I know at least one full-length VOD was paid for with the credit that I got. So I own more shorts than I think that I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like what I used to do, and I think I just might do it again. What I used to do, if there wasn't a full-length release, I would just go buy like 10 shorts that I didn't already own, and then just watch those. And it would be like it was a release. I haven't done that in a long time. I think I might start doing it again.
You should. You definitely should. That sounds like a good idea. That's not something I can do. I can't just go buy new shorts because I already own every single one of them. But
but it would be a good way to complete the shorts library.
Yeah, definitely. And 10 shorts for $10. Usually, some of them are a little bit longer, so they're a little bit more expensive, like setting up a room. And then next week, for our short reviews of Riff Track Shorts, we are going to be taking a look at the saga of Norman. Yeah,
boy, Norman.
All of the Norman shorts we will be taking a brief look at next week. But for now, let's take a look at this past week's new release, Vacation Days from Bridget and Mary Jo.
Yes. So this is another entry in the teenagers saga, I guess you can call it. And
we have now reached the midway point of that.
Yeah, it's weird because like a staple of the movies of those movies up to this point is that they were all a bunch of high school doofuses, right? And here's the thing: is that they actually graduate at the beginning of this movie, but you don't actually see them graduate. You see them like come out of. You see them walking out of graduation, and you see the principal and like the teacher going, "Oh, congratulations, 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 congratulations." It's like, wow, another term, another set of. It's just kind of like it happens all the time for these people.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look, we just graduated from high school. It's like, no, that's not what happens. It's like you graduate from high school, and it's just like, oh my gosh, my life as I have known it for the entirety of my existence, almost, other than being a small child, is now completely over with. But they're just like, oh well, I'm just gonna go do whatever, right? So I think like they all decide to like go on like one final adventure together, even though there's like 4 movies after this. And they go to this weird camp. Like this weird,
the one that was didn't somebody like inherit that?
Yeah, it was
Miss Hinklefink.
It's a ranch. It's a ranch, that's right.
She invites all the kids to spend the summer at Hacienda Hinklefink.
Mm-hmm. And they're all just hanging out together. So it's just like, now, when I was in high school and I graduated, I mean, like, there was a little tiny bit of residual hanging out with your friends, I guess. But you know what? I'll even take that back. How fast did you drift away from your high school associates after you graduated from high school?
The next day.
Yeah, it just seemed,
I mean, I went to boot camp, but I mean that was definitely a
contributing factor.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like you just lose. I don't think how fast you lose contact with these people is like it's so fast.
Well, for us kids these days with the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Instagrams.
I don't know, man. It's just that it just really didn't ring true. I mean, the riff's awesome. Bridget and Mary Jo are freaking fantastic, but I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was realistic. And of course, you have that guy who sings at the drop of a hat. He's out there singing "Home on the Range," and it's just like you want to nope out of the movie so bad at that point. It's just like, oh no, more songs.
Now, was that before or after the orchestra showed up?
That was before. Oh, and of course, the kids find themselves in the middle of some crazy plot or.
Oh event. Yeah, the bank robbery that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and that. It's just like they just happen to find themselves in something that's completely unrelated to any of them. And in the next movie, it's never brought up again. So it's crazy. It's just, and I believe this is the last one that was produced by Sam Katzman, famous schlock master of the 40s and 50s. It's pretty cool that Bridget and Mary Jo they're continuing with the series, but also that they're doing the series in order.
Yes, that's very nice that they're doing them in order.
Which is considering between Kill or Be Killed and Kill and Kill Again, and the Million Eyes of Samuru and The Girl from Rio.
Yeah.
Which both were done out of order by Mike, Kevin, and Bill. I mean, that's not a criticism. I just think it's kind of funny.
Just as they have been doing for the other films in the series, Bridget and Mary Jo. It's just, I love listening to these two together on riffs because you can just tell that they are having a blast.
Mm-hmm.
They just have so much fun together.
You can almost believe that it's not scripted. Almost.
Yeah, it's very natural.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun hanging out with those ladies. I look forward to more.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get more. I hope we do, because the next movie is about moving on to San Juan Junior College together.
These kids. These kids, it's just like, okay, well, it's kind of like, you know, when you go to school, you go to elementary school, you all go to the same elementary school together. Then you all go to the same middle school or junior high together. Then you all go to the same high school together. That's if you don't move.
Yeah.
Now, college, look, you don't have to do that.
I mean, if you're just sticking around and going to a local, you know, community college or whatever, sure, that's one thing. But like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, unless these guys signed like a blood oath that
they would
stay
never
together
leave each other's side ever.
Yeah, till the end of time.
Yeah. Nuts to that.
Yeah. Nuts to that. Nuts to this crappy movie. Let's go on to a completely different crappy movie.
Yes,
we have lots.
Came 50 years later.
We have lots of words to say about this one. Our listener poll this past week was The Last Slumber Party, Crater Lake Monster, and Super Mario Brothers. And of course, Super Mario Brothers.
Slaughter.
It really ran away with it. It was a complete landslide.
I actually kind of knew that it was going to win when you said that we're adding that. I'd be like, well, we're doing Super Mario Brothers. I didn't realize that it was going to get double the votes of everything else.
No, I thought it would be at least a little bit closer to the other two. But hey, I guess that's what happens when you stack the deck in your favor.
Yeah, I know, right?
As you'll find out at the end of the podcast, we are definitely going to be doing in next week's listener poll.
Yeah.
But yeah, today we are talking about the infamous Super Mario Brothers movie that was released in 1993 that really had nothing to do with the video games other than Mario and Luigi and Koopa, like just some of the names being used.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's okay.
Yeah,
people.
This movie is just that's like the number one thing that people have to say about it is that it has nothing to do with the games, but that's really only the beginning of. I mean, like we can start there.
Yeah.
But that's just like the surface. There's so much more that's like deeply wrong with it. Like just like as a movie itself, like I don't know if you can really because it has that title Super Mario Brothers on it, and that contributes so much to it and makes everything that's wrong with the movie even wronger. Just so weird and just bad. And there's a whole story behind the production and why Bob Hoskins says that this is the worst thing that he's ever done.
And he was right.
Yeah, and it's just bizarre, and it was actually something that I remember the production of the riff tracks is something of a weird tale, and I'll just cover it very quickly. In 2012, Riff Tracks released a poll. It's like what's one of the worst movies ever, and Super Mario Brothers was on it.
Yep.
Okay. And when they released the results of this poll, they actually released a short clip, a riff that they did of this scene that's in the de-evolution room, and that was in 2012. The full riff was not released until 2014.
Yeah.
So, and this was actually, I take it back. It might have been 2013 when this when this poll was released. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It happened well before the release of the full riff, and the jokes were almost identical. So I do know that it happened before McBain and Cool as Ice, which were the two VODs that kind of like changed the whole VOD game. At that point, Super Mario Brothers was kind of like the holy grail of the kind of like what Masters of the Universe is now. It's kind of like the holy grail, and people have been wanting it. They've been asking for it for a very, very long time. And the thing is that they couldn't really release it as an MP3 because the movie itself just wasn't available.
Right.
So in 2014, out of the blue, I remember waking up one morning because Yeah, even back then, I was such a Riff Tracks freak. Like, I think Friday mornings or Thursday mornings, whenever it was they released them back then. I think it was Fridays. I either went to the website or I saw Mike Nelson say it on Twitter. New Riff Super Mario Brothers VOD. I was like, Jigama, what? And it was just like punches you in the face. Like VOD of Super Mario Brothers on Riff Tracks. And it was just the coolest thing that nobody was expecting. But since they did have that little bit of it back in 2012 or 2013 or whenever it was, you kind of got the feeling that this had been in the works for a very long time. And either something was going on behind the scenes to get it to be released as a VOD. And we finally got it. I'd love to be able to hear, what the process was, like how they finally got it, because it became like an immediate cornerstone for Riff Tracks.
Yeah, the only bit of the story that I know about this riff comes from Eric. He mentioned it in the comments on the poll, and he said that this riff almost killed Mike. And I remember hearing it's like his least favorite movie that they've ever done is Super Mario Bros.
Oh, so he's like Bob Hoskins. So he's like that. I remember because this was pre-story. It was about a year before I started doing like the actual storybook, and I was still just doing like little art figures for Riff Tracks movies that came out. And I did all the Super Mario Brothers, right? And I put it on my Twitter, and Mike Nelson retweeted it and said, "This is so awesome. The art, not the movie." So that kind of reminded me of one of my interactions with Mike Nelson. That's been whenever I can get an interaction with Mike Nelson, I think it's excellent. He's always been very, very, very cool with me, and I'm always appreciative of that. So that's something that's very cool.
There's a lot of very interesting backstory about the production of this movie, like we mentioned earlier. But some of it is even like weirder than I had known until I looked it up earlier after watching the movie. Like literally right before we started the podcast.
That's what you got to do sometimes. Otherwise, sometimes we want to like jettison a lot of these movies because they're just so bad.
Yeah, but they met with producer Roland Joff. It was his new production company, Leitmotiv, and it was inexperienced, but he had some experience as a director. He directed a couple Oscar-nominated films, The Killing Fields and The Mission.
Never heard of either of them, but it's okay.
Nintendo was intrigued by his ideas, but what really sold him is that he agreed to let them keep full merchandising rights with the film. So they're like, yeah, okay.
How are they gonna, I don't know how they merchandise that thing.
Lots of McDonald's tie-ins, I'm sure. I honestly don't remember, but I know it was there. But the studio approached Danny DeVito to direct the film and to play Mario. They also approached Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Keaton to play King Koopa. All three of them passed on the project, rightfully so. But this one, they originally did have a different actor signed on to play Mario, but the executives thought that he was asking for too much money. So they fired him in favor of Bob Hoskins, who was fresh off of the success of the films like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Hook. And they felt that he would be a more bankable star. But then shortly after, the guy that they replaced won Oscars for both Philadelphia and Forrest Gump.
No.
Yes, I'm talking, of course, about Tom Hanks.
Wait, he was going to play Mario?
Yes. Tom Hanks was originally signed on to play Mario. Could you even imagine that in this movie?
We would not hear. Okay, look, here's the thing.
That's like picturing Tom Selleck as Indiana Jones.
It would have killed Tom Hanks.
Yeah, his career would have been over.
Like every movie Tom Hanks has been in since then. Imagine those movies didn't exist. That's what would have happened. I'm not even kidding.
No.
The
first draft of the script was written by one of the guys who wrote Rain Man. They said it was a little too dramatic. And so they gave it to the team who worked on the Flintstones and Richie Rich.
Oh, no.
That version of the script, it says, was more in line with the actual Mario. They traveled to a magical land reminiscent of like the Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland. So, King Koopa would have actually been a giant green lizard king. And, it would have been a little more colorful and lively. Well, not as much screaming probably. There's plenty of that in the riff. Oh, God. It's so bad. It's so bad. The movie got rushed into production and blah, blah, blah. Everything from this point on is pretty much history. But, I just thought it was really interesting, some of the people that were initially going to be a part of the film. But let's talk about the actual movie.
Yeah, so
what it entailed. God.
So I mean, we've already said that this has nothing to do with the games. The games are very I don't even know how you make a movie out of something like Super Mario Brothers, because Super Mario Brothers, like the games themselves, are very, they're video games. They don't really have a story. That's not. It's a completely different medium and it's an interactive experience. So one might argue you really don't need to make a movie out of this, but like that's like the ultimate validation, is to have something that's made a movie out of and then sent to the big screen, even though we see so many of these things just completely fail. People don't ever really seem to learn that not everything needs to be a movie.
Except they are trying again.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be a CG movie by the same guys who make all the Minion stuff.
Yeah, it's because it worked out so well with Sonic the Hedgehog. So there's a meteorite crash that supposedly killed the dinosaurs, right?
65 million years ago or whatever.
Yeah, and it somehow creates an alternate universe. Okay, look, we're already in ridiculous scientific theory 10,000 now. It's just like, just creates another universe? Yeah, it just did. Don't worry about how. It just did.
And it also somehow transported all the dinosaurs over into that new universe.
Yes, into the new universe.
But only the dinosaurs. None of the mammals that were there at that point. God.
So, and then they evolved into humans, basically. The dinosaurs evolved into humans. And I guess in that world as well, fungus also evolved into humans.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I guess the dinosaur humans and the fungus humans were at war with each other, and King Koopa, I don't even want to call him Bowser. They don't call him Bowser in the movie. They just call him Koopa.
Yeah.
They somehow the Mushroom King gets devolved. He got hit with a devolve gun and got turned into a gigantic booger.
Yeah, he gets turned into a fungus that ends up when we join the story in modern times, he has spread across the entire city. I hesitate to say kingdom, because we find out it's really just one city, and then really everything else is desert. But before that happened, his wife, I think, sent their daughter to the real world and dropped their daughter's egg off at a church for the nuns to take care of.
Okay, now that's another thing. She's okay, all right. Now, okay, the Princess Daisy, not Princess Peach, Princess Daisy. I have a theory about why she's called Daisy, because at that time, Princess Toadstool was still called Princess Toadstool. The word toadstool sounds like poo, and that's not a very marketable name. And there's another character, a well-known character named Toad, that's played by Mojo Nixon in this movie, who, again, nothing like the Toad that we know in the game. So I think they probably felt the need to change that up. Whether or not they actually took the name Daisy from Princess Daisy of Sarasaland from the Super Mario Land series, I don't know if they're that clever. Maybe they just pulled Daisy out of a hat, or kind of like, Daisy's a very base name. It's very easy to come up with.
I don't know. Something tells me that they actually did pull it from Super Mario Land and the Game Boy.
Yeah. So yeah, you're probably right about that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
But yeah, she wasn't Princess Toadstool wasn't Princess Peach Toadstool yet. She was just Princess Toadstool. And
yeah, she wasn't Peach until 96 when Mario 64 came out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
back to the movie.
Yeah, back to the movie. It's crazy because so the king got hit with a de-evolved gun and he devolved into fungus, which means he evolved from fungus. Yeah. Okay, but his daughter is being hatched from an egg, which means she's a freaking dinosaur.
Well, maybe she's like a crossbreed.
Which is it? What is happening? Is she a Koopa? I don't like. Is that how it works?
So wait, hang on. Maybe her mother was we'll say fertilized by Koopa, and that's where the egg came from, and that's part of the reason why she ditched.
Why did you do that to me?
Because it makes the moment later in the movie that much creepier, where he says that a little girl never forgets the first time she's kissed by a lizard.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so
but that's actually in the movie. Yeah. That is something from this movie, and it is terrible and awful and disturbing. And yeah, we get back to modern times, and we meet Mario and Luigi Mario in their apartment, where Luigi's watching TV and Mario is on the phone with somebody about a plumbing job, and they try and rush out and get in their car or their van rather. And
also they're idiots.
Yes.
Or at the very least, Luigi is.
Pretty much everybody in this movie is an idiot. But we get to wherever this plumbing job was supposed to be, and they were beat there by the other guys.
Scapelli.
Yeah, Scapelli plumbing. It's Scapelli. He beat us. And so they're leaving. Their van breaks down, and we kind of stay at the scene where this plumbing emergency was supposed to be, because we see our wonderful developer, and he's trying to kick out a bunch of what were they, NYU students, I think?
Yeah.
From an archaeological dig
in the middle of the city in New York City.
And they're trying to scare them into leaving, and this is where we are introduced to Daisy, of course, and then a couple of
Fisher Stevens.
Yes, a couple of Koopa's henchmen who are again idiots, and the movie just gets dumber from here. Like Luigi meets Daisy and asks her out on a date at the
yeah, I'm a
Mario.
Total stranger. I'm a total creeper.
Yeah, who we find out during the date that Mario isn't actually his brother, but more like his foster dad.
Right, so are they not brothers?
No, in the movie they are not brothers. It's brought up during the dinner date where Luigi was an orphan and Mario took him in and raised him. It was basically like his father and his brother and his...
So he's like Denny.
Yes, it's Denny and Johnny.
Okay. And Mario has a girlfriend there.
Yeah, like a Fran Drescher wannabe girlfriend. They of course are eating at an Italian restaurant. When they leave, Luigi walks Daisy home, and Mario takes his girlfriend back to her place in the van. And the two idiot henchmen follow Mario and his girlfriend because they think his girlfriend is Daisy wearing a disguise, and they kidnap her. It's just, this movie's really hard to talk about because there's so much that happens, but not really anything is happening. Like, it's just a bunch of little set pieces, and it's barely connected to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Daisy is at the dig site,
and she has a piece of the meteor around her neck.
Yes,
like that's that
was left.
It's
with
the
her
only
egg.
thing. Yeah, that was left with her egg, and I guess that's like how you go in between worlds. How they even know that this other world exists. is never explained.
King Koopa is trying to find Daisy because he wants
President Koopa.
Oh, President Koopa, whatever. He's trying to get the stone, the piece of the meteorite, so he can put it back in the meteorite and merge the two worlds together.
This is some serious Dark Crystal stuff happening. Only with less nightmare fuel-inducing puppets. That's got to be one hell of a meteor that it can do that. Like, the physics of it is just...
Yeah. So Daisy gets kidnapped by the henchmen, and Luigi and Mario follow her into this other world. And that's where the real fun begins. And by fun, I mean, what they say, it's like they took the Total Recall set out of a dumpster. And let's see, we get a bunch of cleavage shots. We get some bikini dancers. There is one thing that mostly resembles something from the games, and that's the ba-bomb.
The ba-bomb, yeah.
That they get from the Fungus King. I feel so dumb even saying this stuff out loud. Like, how did they write this? How did anybody write this and go, yeah, this is going to be great?
Well, I mean, I read someplace that this was... I mean, I don't know if this means anything, but it was done by a husband and wife team, which honestly doesn't surprise me because it just seems like something a couple of lame parents would write.
You know, little Jimmy really likes that Mario Brothers game. How about we spice it up a little bit for him and make it really cool?
Put in a bunch of panty shots and...
But yeah, then we get to meet Mojo Nixon as Toad, and he gets stuck in the de-evolution machine, and he gets turned into one of the Goombas, who are these really super big guys with really teeny tiny heads.
Yeah, because those are what Goombas are in the game.
Yeah, we do get to see Yoshi, who's basically a velociraptor.
This came out in 93. It might have come out either... Something tells me there's some kind of Jurassic Park connection to having this dinosaur, because Super Mario World hadn't been out for like maybe a couple of years at this point.
Jurassic Park and Super Mario Brothers came out the same year.
Yeah, okay. I think Yoshi really is like there's nothing from the games. There are like sort of references to things in the game to kind of like justify it. I mean, Toad obviously is one of them.
The rocket boots, those are in the game.
They are? Oh, no. Yeah, okay. That's right. Did you mean like Kaburu Shoe or no? That's...
Which does get a riff. It does get mentioned in a riff, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, that's definitely Connor and Sean right there. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah, the whole movie is just one of the riffs is they realized too late that they didn't actually write a script, so they were just doing stuff. And that seems to be fairly fitting, even though we know there was actually some sort of a script.
Well, I think that Bob Hoskins was saying that they were like it was supposed to go a set number of weeks, but it went like almost double that because things were changing like so much, and his experience on it was just so miserable. And you think about it, this movie bombed like you would not believe.
Yeah.
So the budget on this ended up being $48 million. That is a lot of money in the early 90s.
Yes, it is.
$48 million. In the box office, $20.9 million. Oof.
Wow. So they barely even made half back.
Yeah. So, like, not even. After that, Nintendo just completely noped out of the movie business. Like, completely. Yeah. They're just like, oh, no. I mean, because this movie should have made bank, because Mario has essentially become... I have a Mario plush doll that I'm looking at right now that he just... I'm not even kidding. He hangs out with me all the time. Mario is like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, he's very synonymous with video games.
Like everybody knows he's one of the most recognizable icons and brands and characters in all of pop culture. I mean, Mario is it. And this movie should have made bank even back then. And the fact that it didn't is just, it takes something that should have made a lot of money. And if you make the wrong decisions, it's going to go very badly for you. I mean, it didn't affect the video games. I mean, thank God, because the video games are wonderful.
Yeah.
But it just made Nintendo be like, we're not going to go through that again. You know, I don't know if the video games were ever in danger, but I mean, I think it's more like seeing something like that happening to their main guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine why they wouldn't want something like The Legend of Zelda or Metroid, or like to a lesser extent Star Fox, you know, things like that, get made into a movie, because like, look what happened.
Right. They never wanted to risk that again. In an interview in 2011 with Bob Hoskins, The Guardian, we're just asking him a bunch of little questions, and he was giving short answers. And they said, "What's the worst movie you've ever done?" Super Mario Brothers. If you could edit your history, your past, what would you do? I wouldn't have made Super Mario Brothers. Like,
he must have thought about it a lot.
I think anybody who would have ended up starring in a movie like that probably has that rattling around in their brain for a while, at how terrible of a thing that they created. If they're, you know, at least self-aware enough to do that, unlike other people. We won't mention any names of any directors.
Oh, on that note, have you seen that James Wen just released his new short film?
Ah, yes, Cosmic Beauty, which is literally a YouTube slideshow with some music where he went.
And he found just a bunch of JPEGs.
And they're all stretched out, like they're not like zoomed in to fit. They're stretched sideways, so everything is like wonky on them. It's so bad.
Got an alert on my phone because I subscribed to his YouTube channel and I rang the bell. Like, I want stuff when this a-hole who I hate posts something new. And it was in the middle of the night the other night, man. It was in the middle of the night, and I heard bzzz. I was like, who's trying to talk to me? And it was an alert from YouTube. It's like, Movie Head Pictures just posts Cosmic, and I've been waiting for this post Cosmic Space, and I was like, okay, here we go. And so I was immediately awake, and then I was almost asleep again. And it's just, guys, go see. We'll
link it in the episode description, because it's quite literally like he went to the NASA Pick of the Day website, took a bunch of pictures, and then made a slideshow with some music behind it and a little bit of text talking about how many stars in Cosmic Beauty and blah, blah, blah. And it is terrible. It is so much worse. This is quite literally the worst thing that I've ever seen come out of him.
Well, I mean...
No, because it's the other stuff at least had people and like some sort of an effort from the other people involved. Yeah. This was nothing. And the fact that he thought that, I'm sorry, I'm going off here now. The fact that he thought that he was going to be able to submit this to the freaking Oscars, like, just shows how delusional this human being is. He is a madman, and not in the good way.
Oh, I know. This dude. Oh, what fun. Oh.
I think we were talking about Super Mario Brothers. The movie is terrible. It does have one really great line in it, and there's one really stupid scene that for whatever reason I really enjoy watching, and I think it's just because of the arrangement of the music in the background. But when Mario and Luigi are trying to sneak into Koopa's tower, and they're riding the elevator, and all of the Goombas keep getting on, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out without them seeing them. Luigi starts walking up behind them and making all of them dance to the music that's being played in the elevator, which is a polka arrangement of the underwater music from the original Mario Brothers. And they all start dancing together. And then that comes up again later in the movie where they're getting ready to invade Earth. And you hear over the radio the guy calling out to Koopa that the Goombas have all started dancing again. It's so dumb, but I actually enjoy that.
Can you imagine being John Leguizamo in that scene? them coming to you, because at that point they don't have a script. And the director and the husband and wife team director, like, okay, look, here's what's going to happen today. And they explain that that's what it's going to do. Can you imagine being a young John Leguizamo? Like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Yeah,
that sounds
sure,
great.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
My favorite line is from, of course, from Dennis Hopper. And the tour de force of this movie. And he has a line, he's sitting in a mud bath. And he just goes, you know what I like about mud? It's clean and dirty at the same time.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It might be one of the stupidest things I've heard coming out of an actor in a movie. And
what about Plumber Alert?
Plumber Alert. I like how right before the invasion too, he decides he's going to order a pizza.
Also tell them about your favorite line about Starship Troopers.
Yes. The two Lenny and Squiggy idiot henchmen get put into the evolution chair, and they actually put it to evolve instead of de-evolve, so it's going to make them smarter. And when one of them is coming out of the machine, the riff that we get is, I suddenly no longer have the urge to argue that Starship Troopers is a brilliant satire.
Meaning that if you think that, you're dumb.
Yes.
And you're accurate.
It meant so much to me to hear that riff, especially since we have mentioned Starship Troopers here and how terrible it is,
and how much we both hate it.
So that was great to hear that riff out of there.
Oh, also remember there's a riff there. Like, remember at this time, Fisher Stevens was banging Michelle Pfeiffer. What was Dennis Hopper thinking? I mean, we haven't talked about that guy.
I think he was thinking, hey, man, I need some money.
Respected counterculture icon. It's like, who... The one thing that I think that people remember the most from this movie is the Mario and Luigi Mario sequence.
Oh, God. Yeah, when they're getting arrested by the group of police.
They felt like they had to, like, Super Mario Brothers. They're like, why is the Mario Brothers? No one was asking that crap. Anyway, that's just one of the things that, makes me angry.
Miyamoto did say, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Super Mario Brothers, for those of you who don't.
Oh, that Shigeru Miyamoto. Okay.
Yeah, in case, just to clarify, in case you thought I was talking about a different one. But he actually, in 2015, he did an interview, and he did confirm that his name is actually Mario.
I think I remember seeing something about that at the time. Mario, and Luigi Mario. Yeah, so that's like the one thing that they kept from that movie, which I hate, honestly. But, whatever. Mario, well, I mean, I hate the movie, but I mean, it's a fun riff. But I mean, but the whole concept of like Mario, it's just like, shut up.
Well, the whole reason for that is so they could get the line into the movie at the end where they called them the Mario Brothers, and the reporter for the Other Worlds or whatever the hell that show they were watching was, and they were featured on. He said, I would call them the Super Mario Brothers.
Anyway,
yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Just like the rest of the movie, it's terrible, but it is a great riff. So
yeah,
it's if you can sit there and you can watch other terrible movies that they've done just for the riffing, which obviously you can, otherwise you wouldn't be a fan of riff tracks. I would definitely check this one out if you have not seen it before.
If you have seen it before, well, go just watch it again because if Mike Nelson hates it,
and odds are it's been a while since you've watched this riff because it came out 5 years ago. That's Super Mario Brothers. Now, onto our poll edition for next week's episode. Of course, The Last Slumber Party and Crater Lake Monster are still on the poll because they are still losers and they have not won for a few weeks now. And Super Mario Brothers
have to clear the slate eventually, but I mean,
yes. Super Mario Brothers is going to be replaced by the next movie that we will be talking about next week, and that is The Room.
Sorry, Crater Lake Monster and The Last Slumber Party.
Like, what was that about stacking the deck?
Yeah, this was not my idea, but I do love The Room.
So. This was my idea because, honestly, I was looking for an actual reason to watch The Room again. Not just an excuse, but a reason. And this will be that reason because I really wanted to watch The Riff again.
Right. Oh,
now
it'll give me an opportunity to talk about my encounter with Tommy Wiseau.
Yes. We will probably be talking a little bit, at least, about the two versions of this riff.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people are probably only familiar with the live show script that they released as Just the Jokes, but there was a different version that they released previously
in 2009.
Yeah, and so we will be talking about that one a little bit, even though I don't think you can purchase it anymore. Yeah,
we'll talk about that. Yeah,
the one with Disembaudio.
Yeah,
and all of the
and all his friends. Yeah.
The bachelor party.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more than likely next week after the listener poll and The Room wins by landslide, like Mario Brothers did, probably more so.
Everyone vote for Crater Lake Monster. I really want to talk about that. I really want to talk about Crater Lake Monster.
We will get there eventually, Dave, I promise. That's going to do it for this week on the True Blue Riffcast. I am Jeremy. You can find me at pbnawesome.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at pbnawesome. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can send me an email, jeremy@trueblueriffcast.com. And you can follow the Riffcast on Twitter at tbriffcast.
And I'm Dave Chadwick, a.k.a. Sugar Ray Dodge. You can check me out on the web at sugarraydodge.com. You can send me emails at dave@trueblueriffcast.com.
And don't forget to check out Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band on YouTube. We will see you guys next week.
Watch Cosmic Peace or Beauty, whatever. It's terrible.